Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature, it is untouched by man? It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact, until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving to support the broadcast on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at New Life Ministries International and New Life International CDC.com, we thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, once again, thank you for all of the kind words about the new FijiWater.com sponsored studio. Actually, I mentioned this, but I'll share with those of you that have been communicating about this. We are broadcasting from a different part of our FijiWater.com sponsored studio, but I am really excited about the opportunity to continue moving forward. We have done this so that we could prepare for the launch. Of course, you know, we're Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and we are RadioFreeNetwork.com Live. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com /new-life, and every broadcast is available to you. But we are preparing for the launch of our 24-hour radio station, WKAP-Faith, which you'll be able to find on RadioFreeNetwork.com also. So you go to RadioFreeNetwork.com /WKAP-Faith. We will go live on Sunday, March the 27th, and you will be able to hear music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You will also be able to view segments hear segments such as 3D, segments on health and wellness, segments on mental health and wellness, segments on financial literacy, segments on entrepreneurship, but primarily you'll be hearing music 24 hours a day. And of course, we've got to do a little business with the Globe, so we will be announcing our sponsors. But I say all of that to say this was preparing us because we're going to be doing interviews also. So this new studio look is another segment of our FijiWater.com sponsored studio, and I will have to, give a shout out to my wife for actually helping to design the studio. I'm handling, of course, with assistance from our vendors, our technology vendors and technology support. We're handling all the technology portion, but she's been responsible for the design and the interior design. So I'm going to give her a shout out. But I want to say this is our preparation for being able to do interviews, fireside chats with gospel recording artists, Zoom interviews with our Achievers Academy students who will be interviewing celebrated individuals in a segment called Achievers. So all of this is part of the next level. So we thank you for your excitement. I really I'm touched by all of the response that people have been communicating and saying, wow, Pastor, this is really, really next level. And I'm paraphrasing, but you're so excited about what we're doing, and I'm excited also. So I want to make sure everyone's tuned in and ready when we launch. Hopefully no technical difficulties, but we will be launching on Sunday, March 27th. So stay tuned and prepare, because you'll be able to log in on radiofreenetwork.com/WKAP-faith. And you will be able to listen to music 24 hours a day. You may be able to plug it into your automobile, depending on what kind of audio system you have in your car. You'll be able to look at it on the internet, on your laptop, on your devices. We will be broadcasting live, and the music will play, automated music will play 24 hours a day. And I want to say to Pastor Bill and Pastor Barbara, who are tuned in Israel today, I want to say, traveling mercy to my brother and sister in the gospel. I know you're tuned in, and I am excited about what God is doing in your lives, so I'm continue to pray for you. But I'm always interested in hearing how our sound, our audio sound, and our video display is in other countries. So I want to say it is really a blessing from God for us to be able to continue to move forward and be with you all Sunday through Friday. The only day we're not on the air in 3D is Saturday, but you'll be able to listen to music 24 hours a day. Good music that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you. It will be gospel and inspirational music that will just keep us filled with the Spirit of God and allow us to do all that God has purposed for our lives. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you were in a relationship that was constantly a source of disappointment. However, it is difficult not to go back to him, you said. And you want to know, how do you stay away from a relationship that's filled with disappointment? So let me just begin by saying this. You find it difficult not to go back to him because there were components of the relationship you enjoyed. Many people have been through this same experience where you find it difficult to stay away from someone because there are things about the relationship that you enjoyed. But you also indicated that it was constantly a source of disappointment. And if you know that you're going to be disappointed, if you know that the bad outweighs the good, then you really have to decide, this is not good for me. And if it's not good for you, then you have to be able to make a decision that says, I want to move forward in my life. I want to enhance the quality of my life, and I want to experience the fullness of God. And you cannot do that if you have someone in your life who is constantly disappointing you. There's sometimes people will disappoint you unintentionally. And then there are times, and that's the problem that you had in this past relationship. As I was prayerful about this, God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. The person was intentionally disappointing you. They were making decisions every day. Listen to this. Every single day, they would make a decision that they knew would disappoint you, but they were willing to make that decision anyway because of whatever was going on in their mind and whatever they were hearing from others. They would then make an intentional decision to disappoint you. You don't want to go back to that. You don't want to go back to living life filled with disappointment. You want to live life to ensure that you're enhancing the quality of your life and that you're moving forward to experience the fullness of God. That's what we all should be living to achieve every single day, that we want to experience the fullness of God. And you might say, Well, what does that look like, Pastor? And I will tell you that the simple form of that, there's many other forms of this throughout the Bible, but the simple form of that is that the Bible says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in great health, even as your soul has prospered." So think about that. The fullness of God allows you to prosper in every facet of your life, personally and professionally. That is going to lead to, obviously, to financial prosper. But personally and professionally, if you can prosper personally and professionally, God's going to bless you. But you have to be ready for more, and that's a whole nother topic. But the increase he will continue to give you when he knows you're ready for more. But having said that, when you prosper personally and you prosper professionally, what that looks like is that you personally, your house is in order. So let me just share this with all of our listeners and viewers. Having your house in order means that everyone is in their lane doing what they're supposed to be doing. Husband and wife are living their lives to please God. They're walking in the lane that God has appointed for them, but they can walk together, each in their own lane, but walking together. And then your children, however many you might have, just think of a track, a running track. Your children are in their lanes, doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're staying in their lanes. They're getting to the place that God has appointed for their lives. Okay. But in addition to that, personally, when you're going to have your house in order, that means that you have made provisions that if you were to die today, if the Lord were to call you home today, your house would be in order, meaning that you would have a will in place, a trust in place, whatever the case may be, so that it's passed on to the next generation, or it's passed on to the remaining spouse, first of all, and then to the next generations. That's the big picture. And everything in between that, everyone knowing what they're supposed to do, everyone doing what they're supposed to do, and making certain that you are living a great quality of life. That's having your personal house in order. Your professional house in order means that you're performing at the highest level that you're capable of performing. So all of this means that you're prospering and being in great health. So being in great health means that we are doing all of the things that are necessary to enhance our health and wellness. So I will confess that the region of the country in which we reside here in the U.S., we are in a season of winter. It's getting close to spring, but we all know that pretty much from December, when it starts getting cold, sometimes late November, but December until March, we know what we're going to get. We're going to have weather that's either cold, snowy, inclement weather. Sometimes beyond that, because you don't ever know what you're going to get in March, and you really don't know what you're going to get in April. But by Mother's Day, certainly, it's pretty much spring has sprung, we're into spring. And so that's one of the reasons that, they say in this area, you don't plant anything until Mother's Day. Because that's when you know it's going to thrive. But right now, I will confess, we have some really good weather today. Really beautiful here. And one of the things that I said is, after the broadcast, I would love nothing more than to get out and get a run in. Just a couple of miles, just to get some exercise, get my heart rate up, a few miles, and get a workout in. That's, sometimes I do that in the morning. It changes throughout depending on what I have going on my calendar that day. But I'm saying all of that is that we have to be intentional about. We have to be intentional about trying to make certain that we're in good health. Getting our annual physicals, going to the dentist. Your insurance will give you free dental cleanings. Going to the dentist and getting dental cleanings, is because all of that bacteria will spread to your heart. So we want to make certain that we are in good health. We want to make certain that we are getting all of our annual physicals. We're getting our dental visits in. We're getting some exercise. We're trying to eat right. I'm not going to say I'm perfect in my diet in the way that I eat, my dietary intake, but I try. You've got to be intentional about it. You have to try some things. That's prospering in our health. I was having a conversation with a senior yesterday someone that is very dear to me, who we were talking about eating habits, and I said to her husband passed a year ago, and I said to her, we were speaking on the telephone, and we were just talking about that, and I said, my doctor told me at my age I can't eat. He cut me down to 2 slices of bread a day about 10 years ago. And now he's saying you really can only have 1 slice of bread a day. So some days I don't eat bread so that I can have a full sandwich maybe another day. And I'm saying we've got to be intentional about all of this. So, beloved, I wish above all things you would prosper in your personal life, your professional life, and that you'd be in good health, meaning we've got to do all of the things necessary to enhance our health and wellness, even as your soul has prospered. The Bible says work out your salvation. So that means we're saved, but as people have heard me say it, some of them gasp when I say it, but it's not just good enough to just be saved. We've got to work out our salvation. We've got to constantly be increasing our faith. We've got to constantly work to serve the Lord by serving our fellow man. We have to be looking for ways to serve the Lord. So part of my daily prayer every day, first thing in the morning, is, God, how may I serve you today? Give me wisdom and understanding on how I can serve you today. That we have to be intentional about all of this. So that's what that really looks like. So we want to make certain that we're seeking the fullness of God. You can't seek the fullness of God if you're going back to Egypt, to a place where you're going to get disappointed. You can't go back to someone who is intentionally going to disappoint you. It's a whole different scenario when someone disappoints you because they do it unintentionally. It's never their intent to disappoint you. But once in a great while, something they do may disappoint you because they're human. But when you're in a relationship with someone who intentionally disappoints you, they do things knowing that you're going to be disappointed, or they won't do things knowing that you're going to be disappointed, and they just don't care. You don't need to be in that type of relationship. No matter how difficult it might be to stay away from him, that's not a good relationship for you. It may work for him from time to time, but it's not good for you. We want you to be whole and complete in body, mind, and spirit. So let's work to experience the fullness of God in all of our lives. Let's be whole in our body, mind, and spirit. Let's make certain we're living out the word. Beloved, I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in great health, even as your soul has prospered. That's all about moving forward, not about going backward. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may experience T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are having problems with your group of friends. They tell you that they are being driven away from you by the things you say to them and by the things you do around them. So let's talk about that. So we have to recognize that sometimes if we're not aware of what we are saying to other people, sometimes if we're not aware of what we're communicating to others, it could be offensive. And the Bible tells us not to offend in word. Now, think about that. You know, this is why we say the Holy Bible is the handbook of living your basic instructions before leaving earth. So the Bible says don't offend in word. In other words, we need to think about what we're saying before we speak it. We have to think about how it's going to be received to the hearer of that communication, that word. And so the litmus test for me is always now, whatever I'm going to say to someone else, before I say it, I know that it's got to be heard by God first. And then the other person is going to hear it. And is it pleasing unto God, what I'm about to say? Is what I'm about to say going to please God? Because the Bible says if you delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart according to his will. So I want to line up with his will, but I want to make certain that I'm delighting myself in him. So I don't want any of us to say things that are not going to please God. So we always have to be thinking about what we're going to say. The reason you're finding it challenging dealing with other people is because you don't really take thought about what you're going to say. You're more interested in being heard. And then, because they're saying the things you do around them, you have to really examine what you're doing around other people. You know, how are you conducting yourself around other people? And listen, it's not just you, it's all of us. It's every one of us that has to really think about what we do and say every single day. You know, that has to be part of our prayer also. God, give me the direction. Give me, you know, in my case, I say daily divine direction. Give us the direction so that we can do and say what you would have us to do and say. Not what I want to do, because if we just do what we want to do, it is never going to lead to us enhancing the quality of our lives, and it's never going to lead to us experiencing the fullness of God if we do what we want to do. And if we just say what we want to say, we're not going to get there either. And that's our goal. Our goal is to get to the place in our lives where not only are we living a great quality of life, but that we're experiencing the fullness of God in all of our lives. That's what we are living for. You know, that then brings God the glory. Our lives begin to be an example to bring God the glory. So just be conscious of what you say to your friends and colleagues. Be conscious what you do around them. If we go to the office, let me try this. If we go to the office and we appear to be competent in the office, but we go out in public and we act totally different than we do when we're in our professional environment, and our friends and colleagues are watching and observing what we're doing, and particularly for those of us who are Christians, that's a whole nother responsibility because we've taken on the name of Christ, right? They're looking at what we do and say, and they're trying to decide if they can live with that. Do they find it offensive? Does it demonstrate that they too could have the same type of behavior? Because you know, birds of a feather flock together, right? Guilt by association. That people have to be concerned about the way we present ourselves to the general public. And so when I say present ourselves, that's doing. What we do is our presentation. So we've got to be mindful of that. And every one of us has to be more intentional about the way that we live our lives and what we say, because if you say something that is offensive to someone, think about this. Here's what the Bible says. See, the great thing is I don't have to make any of this up because it's all spoken by God and I just repeat it. The Bible says from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you say something to offend someone, it has come from your heart. And whether you think that it's okay or not, how they receive it and perceive it is going to be the determining factor on what your relationship is going to look like. That's one of the reasons we have to be very careful about what we do and what we say. You're struggling right now because they brought it to your attention. This too shall pass. You will get to the place that God has appointed for your life. And hopefully you will become more intentional about what you do and what you say. Some things we don't need to be heard about. We don't need to be heard. We just need to be present. And that will lead to a better quality of life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. They have shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. So I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have returned to the office and you are developing relationships with new members of your team. However, you find there are some very different and difficult personalities, and you want to know what's the method of adapting to different and difficult personalities. So here's the methodology for that. You have to try to understand each person's personality. Everyone's going to be a little different. Some people are going to be more difficult than others. The difficult people, you don't want to give them your energy. If you identify them, first take your time and identify. If they have a difficult personality, don't give them your energy. Keep it very basic. Keep your discussions on point. Don't vary off into a lot of different topics because they're going to be difficult with every topic. Keep them focused. Conclude the meeting or the discussion and move on. Different personalities can mean a lot of things. They could be a little bit eccentric. They could be, type A personalities. One thing that we learn to do is deal with personalities, because there's always going to be a different personality than the personality you have. Now, there may be some similar traits, but everybody's personality is going to be a little different. I'm not talking about eccentric. I just mean the differences between personalities. You just have to identify the personalities and put them in their category. Not put them in their place. Put them in their category. And the category is, if you're difficult, I'm going to keep it real simple. And if you're just different, if you just have a different personality than mine, I can adapt to that personality. And that's what I mean when I say we all have the ability to adapt. 3D, today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Remember, as always, we're Facebook Live, YouTube Live, RadioFreeNetwork.com Live. Go to Radio Free Network.